afternoon, TheoTrade. This is Corey Rosenblum, and you're watching the Theo Nightly Video for the 2nd of November here in 2021, and we await the Fed. But first, new highs in all the equity futures, which is not something we've been able to say for quite a few months here. And the S&P, it's been new highs, new highs, new highs, and that was a trend that started, remember, when the S&P was about 3,700 at the beginning of the year. That's this SPX. New high, and what we're looking at, what I want to draw your attention to, is not so much the progression of the highs, which is the definition of an uptrend, but it's what happened when the market made new highs, which would be the drifter. So think about this as drifter or short squeeze or continuation of the upside, or just one-sided domination of the bulls above the bears. And that's what kept this going. So not every time generated a big upside burst, but some of them did. And the last time we really saw this type of impulsive continuous action was again in April. And that was earlier in the year when the market just hit new highs, hit new highs, hit new highs, and kept hitting new highs ahead of a pullback or a snapback, rubber band snapback. We did not really get that movement at the retest, but the next time that happened was roughly in the June into July. And that was just, again, extension up, 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 up. And then the market pulled back. And the last couple times has been over here into September. Here we are again with the market breaking above new all-time highs and 52-week highs, of course, to be precise. But these happen to be all-time highs. And they're above 4,600. So we are getting drift. We are getting upside squeeze play. And what I mentioned earlier is we were able to talk about, or we're not able to talk about new all-time highs in all the equity futures because S&P and the NASDAQ were strong and remain strong. The Dow mini futures broke out of its upside trading range and now trades just shy of 36,000 on the Dow mini futures. It's the Russell that kept us from saying new all-time high across all the equity markets, but we can say that today. The Russell has breached the upside very rapidly from this upper bound or upper volatility box. And that was about 23.25 and really 23.50 from the prior times that the index saw itself trade into these levels. And good buying opportunities are not at the all-time highs. That's not a good buy opportunity. It's actually when the market was down into this 2100 or 2150. That's been a better risk-controlled buy because the risk, if you're going long, is the downside break. So that is the risk to the downside. The risk to the upside, if you go long at the all-time high, is a pullback or a fall from resistance. And that's what's happened each time. Of course, will this time be different? We will find out after the Fed. And that's what we'll focus on Wednesday, which is the Federal Reserve, its meeting and their policy change. Not so much on the interest rates, but are they going to talk about the taper? That will be in focus, the taper. The Fed taper, which is just cutting back on the asset purchases or quantitative easing. That's their bond buy program. That's at about $80 billion in current time. If they taper, that means they will pull back or reduce those purchases on a monthly basis. But we'll see that tomorrow. That's where the focus will be. That's where we'll be watching in the Federal Reserve statement, which is most likely to be unchanged majorly from the last couple of policy announcements. But we will be watching for anything to do with taper. Taper, again, is a reduction in the pace of asset purchases. A quick rundown before we start talking about other stocks or individual stocks is the SPY, which made new highs, followed up by the quad Q or the triple Qs. QQQ, which is again above that 389 level. The DIA is the diamonds for the Dow. That's your Dow Jones. And the IWM is the tradable ETF for the Russell. It is well breaking above its zone high or resistance high. And for the IWM share price, that's about the 234. So that's the focal point for the IWM. In our scan list, as we await the Fed, I like to highlight, even if you're not trading these stocks, just which stocks are outperforming the market. So the market's making new all-time highs, technically 52-week highs, which is what this scan is for in the S&P 500. So we do want to know which stocks are outperforming or as the market makes new highs, which stocks are joining or leading the market at new 52-week highs, or in some cases, all-time highs. And this is momentum logic. That which is strong tends to get stronger. That which is attracting money flow does tend to attract additional money flow into the future. And these are good long buy candidates. Again, not at all-time highs necessarily, but on pullbacks or retracements. Microsoft would be the number one stock, and I'm just listing these by market cap. So just a few, I would highlight the top names. These become candidates on pullbacks to trade. And if it's above 100 billion really in market cap, that is actually 2 trillion, 2.5 trillion for Microsoft, and the others are in billions. And these down here are in the 78 range, all the way down to about 10. That's in the SP500 stocks making new 52-week highs. They include, we'll just take a look at the first few to see its uptrend. Uptrend just means higher highs and little pullbacks, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and that's just what we call an extended rally or continued rally, and the pullback and new highs. That's the pattern, at least, to watch and trade on your own charts. So that would be Microsoft. Next under it is NVIDIA, which is also caught up in a short squeeze, similar to what we saw in June with high volume. Not as much volume into the 260 per share level, but nonetheless is extending. Thermo Fisher Scientific, new 52-week highs. I bring up Accenture because it is a strong stock getting stronger that has a little bit of a more stable uptrend, which is not like the others, like NVIDIA, which is straight up. Or as you might have seen, the stock that was volatile today, which was Tesla, it was actually down today after a few sessions of being up. This is extended. This is very difficult to get short and very difficult to get long. So these extended runs or these straight up moves without any type of pullback, those can be and really are very difficult to get trades, spreads, verticals, or anything of the like. Always manage risk in any position. Merck, which is more of a sideways trading range, did break to the upside. And consumer staple PepsiCo, that's relatively a stable, non-exciting, non-gapping, and non-pop culture stock, but nonetheless is trading itself to the upside. That's a safer play for a lot of traders. Broadcom, similar to PepsiCo. And there is Costco, which just continues this extended run, making it very difficult to short because the stock is not pulling back, but we want to purchase with risk control, meaning don't just buy all-time highs because the risk of a pullback is quite high. So we wait for those retracements or some type of down move or multiple days to the downside, as opposed to getting long on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, roughly about 15 sessions straight to the upside. Very, very poor risk reward to get long at the highs. And McDonald's is a similar to PepsiCo. It's just a stable blue chip type company, and it's made new highs in a broader trading range. And Goldman Sachs is a financial company that is leading its pack higher. And that's mainly what we're highlighting here as we wait for the Fed. Any earnings plays, or most earnings plays, big names, big tech, are behind us. But coming up, we had DuPont, ConocoPhillips. We'll actually extend this out to see exactly what these stocks were and what's coming up next. ConocoPhillips, Pfizer, Mondelez, and Amgen. These two are reporting right now after the bell. Coming up tomorrow, we have Exelon, CVS, and Emerson Electric. After the bell is Allstate, MetLife, Qualcomm, and Booking. Next up are the following: Target, Walmart, Home Depot, Walt Disney, PayPal, and Cisco, Lowe's, etc. They're coming up a little later in the cycle, but we do have the Fed session tomorrow. We are at new 52-week highs, which are, at least in the S&P and the other indices, not only 52-week highs, but all-time highs. Be careful, be safe. That's a break. Careful with the Russell here. Of course, notice what the Fed says, how they say anything about the taper, and that's what the focal point will be in tomorrow's session. So always be careful and safe. This is Corey Rosenblum with tonight's Theo video update for November 2nd, 2021.